So basically, how can you defend against the devil in your community? And being that I'm part black and white, this would be more relevant for the black community. The devil, also called aka the guardian in pagan lore, the guardian was actually not too fearful. He wasn't seen as someone to be afraid of necessarily. He was understood as a test, a challenge that you had to overcome in order to get to the next level. And what it basically is, they don't throw things at you that you couldn't handle. If you had the energy, if you had, you know, the soul experience, you could survive, you could pass. The one thing though, the guardian always, we call it the devil card now in the tarot deck, he always instills fear. So it's kind of like one of these things, when you're afraid, truly afraid, what do you do when you have this tremendous fear? Do you get blocked up? Do you stop? Or does fear motivate you to continue further, to fuel kind of, you know, all your skills to get you out of that situation? So how you really respond to fear is really the lesson with the devil, aka the guardian card. For the black community, I did a reading earlier. I'll add the cards later, but basically in this reading it was pretty much saying to me that we need to supplant ourselves in new soil, in a new foundation for the black community of where do we stand, what do we find important enough to protect, because the guardian is kind of like about protection. The devil is about protection. He's going to challenge what you have at the time to see if you really care for it, if it really matters. And you know, honestly, a lot of times we fail. Even on a personal, individual level, when we get this test in our lives, we fail. Because maybe that's the first time that you've ever been afraid or ever really been challenged in a negative way in life. And, you know, no one taught you how to use certain skills to get out of the situation. And we fail usually. So the hope is when you do fail that you find a ways to get yourself back up. And instead of being traumatized by the whole ordeal, learn from it, kind of be empowered from it, and use all your skills to not let that happen again. Because the devil will come back again. The guardian does come back again. It's in cycles. It's like how we have weather and different cyclical seasons. There's going to be an energy cycle where he's going to come back around again. And so basically, as a human, you should just, you know, understand this has been our way for a minute in terms of nature in our existence here. So how do we prepare ourselves for when he comes back around again, so we don't have to, you know, lose anything that's important to us? So in order to have a fighting chance in the black community, when I was doing this reading earlier, you're saying that we need a foundation of life. We need definitely to repair our first chakra. This first chakra, or this base, this home base, is what is needed to give you the power, the self-motivating power, or the group motivating power to protect what it is that you care about most, whether it be your home, your family, yourself, right? So what do black people in America stay true to? What do we stick by? What is our glue that holds us together as a community? And if we don't know this information about ourselves, if we've been uprooted too many times, you know, we're afraid, traumatized of the guardian, how do we repair our minds and prepare for when he comes around again? And then also answer that question, what do we care about the most? Like, what do we want to fight for as a people? We need to answer that question. We need to find a way to reunify ourselves, because honestly, if you think about the black experience in America, we were pretty much given a bad rap when we got here when they brought us here as slaves against our will. They systematically took away our mind. If you think about what was done, the mind is fractioned into two cells. The right hemisphere is your right brain, your subconscious mind. Your left hemisphere is your conscious mind. Your left side is the side where you're capable of reasoning, logics, strategy, communication, planning. Your right side of the brain is more to deal with like art, culture, music, you know, creativity. It's more of your feeling brain, your emotions, your intuition. So they kind of really messed up our ability, or, you know, our way of thinking, or basically our even our attempt to keep our conscious mind. You know, they fractured it so much, how they came into Africa with new technology. It was such a shock to the psyche of black people. And then the things that they did on the boat, I mean, you can look this stuff up, but what was done to the boat, they killed the men, they raped the men in front of the women. That's like a systematic shock to the woman, because then she sees her protector being raped and there's nothing she can do about it, and that's her protector, so like what's going to happen to her? So right, like you see that, and it's just like this big trauma. And the things that were done to the women and the children, they threw children off the boat. I mean, they did whatever they had to let you know that you are ours. Your mind is now, we own it now. You are a slave. Like, you're conscious. You basically, out of survival, just give that away because you can't take anymore. So that's how they get in, and that's how we've been serving them ever since, really. We don't have our own identity, our own racial, cultural identity. And while other races who come here do have their own racial, cultural identity, their own sense of family, you know, their sense of belonging and unity as a people, and their heritage, where they come from, they have that with them. It wasn't taken from them or ripped away from them by, you know, by brutal attacks of slavery. Yeah, we were given a bad rap, man. I don't like when people compare our situation to other cultural situations, because it's not the same. It's never been done that way before, as traumatic as it was. It's really like the most extreme version of MK Ultra brainwashing program. And if you look up on the internet, put in MK Ultra, you know, mind programming or brainwashing. These are tactics that are actually still being done today by the use of television for everybody. It's not even just if you're black or white. Like, they do this stuff. They perfected it, so it's not crude anymore. But yeah, that's how they just basically did a very crude version, a very barbaric, you know, deep demonic version of brainwashing. They had to be able to take over your mind so you wouldn't have enough to fight within yourself, like the strength of will to fight back. That this is, you know, this is your people, I'm fighting for my children, I'm fighting for my family. They took all that away when they started killing people off on the boat the way they did. So you didn't have that glue or a sense of family anymore. And they continue to do that even through slavery. There were times where the slaves would try to get back together, and different cases of slaves, like everywhere. They dropped slaves off different parts of the South. I think, well, yeah, Jamaica, the islands, the was it South America, Brazil. I mean, there's slaves everywhere that they dropped off or sold in certain quarters to basically build off upon their work and energy. So now, when you don't have that official style of slavery anymore, that's gone. As a people, how do you come back together after that? All your inner resources taken away, your identity, racial identity, your cultural identity is taken away. How do you come back to form a new foundation of self, to where now you have boundaries for the community, where I'm not going to let everybody in. You have to ask permission. You can't just, I'm not just going to say you could just come into the culture. Let me just make some rules here. Let's find out what is our modus operandi. What is the culture? What are, you know, what do we all support? And that's just like really a collective conversation. I can't solve that here in one video, but basically we need a new foundation. Without that foundation of what is strong within us as a people to fight for and to keep a firm footing in our, you know, location here in America. I mean, this is our land. We worked for it, even if it was forced. Like, this is all we got left. Can't go back to Africa. Like, it's too far gone. They racially mixed us. They mixed it. Like, I'm a product. I mean, I'm not, you know, it's not forced or anything. But back then they would force race mixing. So it wasn't even like a consensual thing. They would force people because they wanted to dilute the gene pool. That's another tactic of slavery, of, you know, trying to dominate a race, is by forcing the race mixing. So then now you don't even have a firm, solid race anymore. So you don't even have like that connection to your racial identity, your looks and stuff like that. That was actually, it's a style of war. So it is really about understanding the methods and how it was done. Once you understand it, you understand how they think, and then going into that, then you understand, okay, then now you come back into really trying to bring the family back together, to reunify the father and the mother, and keeping the family solid, and having values, a sense of culture that keeps the family together, so we can be more powerful as at least as an individual unit, as a family unit, so we can fight to protect, you know, our assets, because we're surviving here in America, and I don't know how long we're going to continue to do it if they keep systematically doing these things. You know, population, I don't know the census, but I think our population is going down. Just gotta have to learn, because this is like a program that it seems like they've been working for hundreds of years to phase us out. They don't need us anymore. When they do need us, you know, they lock us up, they put us in prison. That's how they use a lot of people, you know, a lot of ethnic people still, black and brown included, Latins, blacks, natives. Yeah, they're still using slavery, but more like unofficial now. Like they push you off into the prisons and stuff like that, maybe on some Trump charges, who knows, right? It's all debatable, but they want your energy still, but now they got to be more politically correct about it. So I'm saying a lot of stuff here. It's a lot of terms. It might be too much for someone listening to this, but look, it happened. I don't mean to go about, you know, making people go through it again, but it's happening still. There's protests in Baltimore, there's protests in Ferguson. Like, what is it going to take people to really address this, so we can actually survive the devil, we can actually survive the guardian that is working behind the man, the white man, because that's all it is. It's an energy that uses other men against each other, you know, men against other men. I mean, yeah, like, you gotta really, I mean, there are cultures that came here, the Italians, the Jews, they survived their guardian, their devil test. I mean, every culture comes here after a while and has to fight for, you know, some staying power in America, but we never even had a fighting chance for it, because we were, you know, we were taken against our will, we were enslaved. So we need a foundation, plain and simple. We need like a new cultural foundation of roots. We need new roots here. We need to establish that as a community. So that's my video for that, and I'll upload the cards so you can see the cards really quickly, or I'll try to splice the cards together with this video. But basically, yeah, if you take away the fear of the devil, he's no more than just a guardian, a challenger, rightly so. The challenge is to see what do you value most in your life. What do you feel like dying for, that you're so fearless, like, you know what, I don't care, I'm going to die for this. You know, that's how important it is to me. So it should be the family, it should be our place here in America, because we earned it. We've been here long enough, and this is where we stay, this is where we need to stay. So that's my video.